How to set 1, 5, and 10-year financial goals. That's what we're going to be covering. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that you might run into. We're talking about the mindset that's necessary to set proper goals, as well as the different categories of goals that you should be considering and you should be actually thinking about, not to mention what types of goals you should be setting each year. Now, this is one of my favorite talks. This is John F. Kennedy, Go to the Moon. I'm hoping this is going to play right. We'll give it a go. Let me know if you guys can hear audio on this. So what I like about that is this idea of going to the moon was so foreign, right? It's like, hey, going to the moon was crazy. And it's like, we are going to do something crazy. And then what the idea is to accomplish this, they didn't even have the metals that were necessary to go to the moon. So we're going to use the best metals, some of which have not yet been invented. So they've set the goal without knowing how they're going to achieve it. Fit together more than a fine Swiss watch. And we're going to do that before this decade is over. Pay what needs to be paid. We don't want to waste any money, but we want to do it. And we're doing it not because it's easy. We're doing it because it's hard. Because hard things bring out the best in us. And that's something that I think a lot of people forget about is don't ask for things to get easier, ask for yourself to get better. Don't wait for things to get easy. Make them better, make yourself better. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about goals. So like with this, what was the goal? Go to the moon with a person and bring them back safely. When we want to do that before this decade is out, okay? And why? We want to do it because it's hard, and doing hard things brings out the very best of us. That is a goal. I love this concept. So what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. One of my favorite quotes from Napoleon Hill. So the whole concept here is it all starts with commitment, right? It all starts with commitment. And if you're committed to it, then you find ways to make it happen. Now, one of the things I think a lot of people don't understand is this principle of be, do, have, okay? Be, do, have. It's a natural law. It can't be violated. When most people set goals, they set rather haves rather than bees. Okay, they say like, if I had this, then I would do this, and then I would be this. And that is simply flawed thinking. Okay, so here's the thing. If I had friends, then I would do fun things, and then I would be happy. Okay, it doesn't work like that. If I had $1 million, then I would give some to the poor, then I'd be a generous person. If I had a gym, then I would exercise, then I would be a healthy person. If I had massive wealth, then I could do things massively wealthy people do, and then I could be the kind person that adds value to other people's lives. That is completely backwards, okay? You've got to do the right thing. You've got to be so you can do and have, right? So when I decide to be happy, then I'll do fun things and I'll attract and have lots of friends. But it starts with me deciding to be happy. Or when I decide to be generous and give, then I give some of what I have to the poor. Then I attract even more ways to give. Okay? So when I decide to be a healthy person, then I do things the healthy people do. Then I get a gym and other things that have helped me be healthy, right? So these are big things to be aware of. Is it's the be, do, have model, not the opposite. So most people do it opposite. So decide, it starts with that be. decide to be what you imagine will come from achieving your goal. You've got to be the person that you've got to decide that and who that outcome is going to be, and you need to start being that person. And then you need to start doing the things. Your way of being, your mindset will propel you to action, to do things, taking actions, and then the results of your actions will bring you to your goal. So it's decision, action, result. Well, most people are like the opposite. If I only had the result, then I would do these things, and then I would be this. That is not how it works. Okay, taking ownership. 80 to 90% of challenges that come from within yourself. Let's ask, is there anyone who has accomplished great things with bigger challenges than we have? Has somebody ever done that? A great example that I like to give to my kids is Amazon same-day delivery. Like when I was a kid and you wanted something and it was getting mailed to you, it would take like a week or 2 weeks to get there. And now I can go on Amazon and there's a lot of things I can order that'll be there the next morning when I get out of bed. Now, someone thought that up. That was impossible. Everyone would have said it impossible, and now it's kind of common. So these are things that we thought were impossible that now people are actually doing. So has anybody done bigger challenges than what I've done? This should give us confidence. Who has done something bigger? When you're talking about financial goals, let's look at your personal and work life today, right? Let's identify how your own thinking has created your world, right? You've created your world. Nobody else has created it for you. Your thinking has created your world. And everything we are now is exactly a result of sowing and reaping, right? It's the law of the harvest, sow and reap. How we have chose to invest our time has made us what we are at this moment. How did we invest our time? And did we invest that time in things that we're going to compound? Those are things that you've got to be thinking about. Now, I think there's a few categories when we talk about goal setting. I think there's the spiritual aspect, a social aspect, a physical aspect, an intellectual aspect, are all things, and the financial aspect. Those are all categories that I think you should be thinking about, because if you're not well-rounded in those, you're not going to find true happiness because the will is not going to be complete. So one of the things you can do is close your eyes and ask yourself, 10 years from now, what do I want these areas to look like? What do I want my spiritual, my social, my physical, my intellectual, my financial? What do I want to have that look like 10 years from now? And write it down. Whatever comes to your mind. What do I want financially 10 years from now? Not the outcomes necessarily, not like I want to go buy these things. No, this is the income that I want to have, or this is the cash flow I want to have. This is intellectual. This is what I want to do. Those are all things. Sit down and say, 10 years from now, where do I want to be? And don't overthink this. Don't overthink this. Just start writing a 10-year goal. So outcome. What would you want your life to look like in detail? And the more vivid this detail can get, the research shows the more likely you can achieve it. And we see this a lot with sports psychology, right? So you'll see like world-class swimmers like a Michael Phelps, and he would envision himself winning the race before the race even started. He would go to bed thinking of the race. He would wake up thinking of the race. He would see himself swimming, and he would see himself coming out of the pool in first place, and he would see himself putting a medal on. That's how vivid it can get for those that are really looking for changes in their life and where they want to be. 5-year goals. This is kind of the halfway mark between here and there. What do I want? Where do I need to be for a halfway mark? What needs to be on track for me in order for me to hit that 10-year outcome? And then you've got your 3-year and your 1-year goals. You want to be very specific. Keep compounding in mind. For example, your first real estate deal will be the hardest. It may take you a couple of years to do your first real estate deal. I had somebody that was on my podcast, and he said it took 10 years to do his first deal. And then the next 10 years, he's done 120 deals since then. Okay, so your first one's always the hardest, and compounding your 10th, your 20th, those become easier. One of the things that's kind of interesting, and this is from what they don't teach you at Harvard Business School, is less than 3% of people have written goals. Lots of people may have things they want to do, but they haven't committed those down to writing. And you are 42 times more likely to achieve goals if they are written down. So right now, commit to yourself, write down some goals, and make it happen. Don't wish that life were easier, wish that you were better. That's a Jim Rohn quote that I was giving earlier today, earlier in this as well. The plan, knowledge. What learning will aid me in achieving this goal? Because once you have the goal, then you need to put a plan together. So how am I going to go do that? Well, say I want to buy a rental property. Okay, so what do I need to learn so that I can go buy a rental property? Well, I probably need to learn how to find properties. I probably need to know how to value them. I probably need to know how rents work. Like there's some knowledge that I need to gain. There's also some mentors. Who has done this before? Who has done this? Because I want to follow somebody that's already done this, and I want to follow what they think needs to be done so I can have the same success, and I can cut my learning curve down. Like I said with this guy that I was on the podcast earlier today, it took him 10 years to do his first deal. Well, if he could help me do that in 1 year, would that be worth something? Absolutely. The other thing, and people don't like to talk about this, but sacrifices. In order to achieve what you want, you are going to have to sacrifice something, because whatever you're doing right now is going to have to change in order for you to get what you want. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. And it's okay to change your 10-year goal. You don't want to do that every day, but you might be a few years in and say, you know what? I want to make a change here, or we're going to pivot over here. That's all fantastic. But you want to lock in your 1-year goal and make sure your 3-year goal is well defined. So what I'm saying is the 10-year goal is where I want to be out there. And if that alters or changes, no problem. We can do that. You don't want to do that every day, but maybe once a year you relook at those things. But your 1-year goals you want to be set on. Like these are things I'm really committed to make happen. And my 3-year goals want to be pretty well defined, which align with my 10-year goals. But if we've got to make a little movement on the 10-year goals, that's absolutely fine. But commit to your 1-year goals. And then what you want to do is reverse engineer your success. If you know the outcome you want 10 years from now, what needs to happen in order for you to hit that outcome? And what needs to happen each year in order for you to hit that outcome? And what needs to happen each month to hit that outcome? And even as much as what needs to happen each week and each day so that you can do that. The other thing is you've got to review your goals often. If you're not regularly reviewing your goals, one of my greatest friends is amazing. He has his goals laminated and he has them in his car. And his rule is, I will not start my car without reading my goals. So, and if you are somebody that runs late, you better learn how to read really fast. But this is a great example. What I like to do is put them in my shower. So when I'm jumping in the shower, I can read those, I can look at those, I like those. A lot of people will put them on their mirror, when they're getting ready. But I have cash flow goals in the shower. I can even show you, I've got some pictures of that at some point. So not of me in the shower, but of my goals and my cash flow. So recap, let's talk about this. What have you learned today? The challenges you face when pursuing goals. That's some challenges are out there. Changes to your mindset to the be, do, have instead of the have, be, do. Taking ownership for your progress. The 5 different goal categories that you should be looking at to be have a well-rounded person, and how to set 10, 5, 3, and 1-year goals. We've talked a lot about writing down goals and planning for your success, reviewing your goals frequently. These are big things that will help you work towards the person that you want to become, because what you think about is who you become.